Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen.
You are the Reverend Martyn Travers of Milton Baptist Church. You have preached before now at New Milton Baptist Church, and you also obviously were minister at Ashley for one quite long period. So yeah, that's where I got to know you, and we've kept in touch ever since, and you are a delight to have as a friend, sir. Thank you very much indeed. You are kind of going to talk about finding positives. So I should pass it over to you and keep quiet.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Yeah, finding positives. That's actually quite hard to do at the moment, isn't it? When today we've heard on the news that the deaths from coronavirus have reached 20,000 people in the United Kingdom. And how can you find positives in a situation such as we have at the moment, with a pandemic that's causing the loss of so many people's lives and bringing devastation around the world, not just in our country? It's hard to find positives. People say, don't they, that there's always a silver lining to every cloud. Well, it's looking for those positives despite the sadness, despite the tragedy, despite the difficult circumstances that perhaps you are going through right now, not necessarily for coronavirus reasons, but for other reasons too. I think God can help us. I think as we read the Bible, actually back in the Old Testament, right back in Genesis chapter 51, there's a lovely story of when Joseph finally meets his brothers, and Joseph now is prime minister over all of Egypt, and his brothers come trembling before him, thinking that he's going to take his revenge for all the things that they did to him years ago. And he says to them, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, for the saving of many people's lives." Despite the fact that they had plotted against him, that they had treated him as dead, God was ultimately in control, and God brought good things out of bad circumstances. And he can do that for us today when we put our faith in him. Of course, it's echoed famously in the New Testament when the Apostle Paul says at Romans 8, verse 28, we know that God can works all things for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So even when we face difficult times, when we're going through difficult circumstances, let's look at our lives not with fear but with faith, believing that God can bring good even out of evil, that God can bring good for our lives and for the lives of other people too. May you discover that personally in your life just now, and may I know it too, as God brings positives out of bad things. So, Mike, this is Ellie, my first and only at the moment 1-year-old granddaughter, and Ellie's staying with us with her mum at the moment, and it's bringing a lot of joy into our lives, as well as sleepless times too. You see, Ellie, that's Mike.
I just having a lockdown with isolation and feeling quite low, and then one of the family in my household said that I did something wrong over the food, and then I heard the mention that when I get better, then I should take over the food. So I thought, well, I'm feeling better now, so I might as well just do it. And then when I did it, she told me off.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, so and then my brother tried to stuck up for her, and then my dad stuck up for me.
Right.
But then they had a ruck, and now my dad is suffering because of it.
It's also very difficult at the moment, isn't it? With so many different tensions around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my dad told them to go, and which they have, but it's still a bit raw.
Yes.
Because I can't really face her and talk to her.
Very difficult indeed.
And I just feel like Jude 16, it feels like that's her.
That's Jude 16.
Yeah,
yeah.
Verse 16. And I feel that that she is scared and that she is alone in the world. And then I've put down Peter, 1 Peter 3, verses 8 and 9. And I feel that was quite apt, because it made me realise that I shouldn't be like her. And then finally, as I feel that I've got the God, the Father in me, and she hasn't got anyone. And then I realised Mark 11, verse 21 to 26, and I've got the faith and the belief that it will come right in the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I have found, in fact, myself, so many positives have come out during this dreadful time, and I'm not sharing a household, and I cannot imagine the tensions that go on there.
Absolutely.
Yes, and how you and others manage with that, other than by turning to God and working very hard at it. I don't know how you can manage it. I really don't.
No.
And if you've got people who aren't well that you're dealing with, and I think you work as well, don't you, still? So you're having to be out and caring for others. Impossible situation, but it sounds... can I just say I admire you for the fact that you're happy to talk about it, because...
well, there you go. Well, that was the weird thing about it. Angela, bless her, we had a good old chat, and she told me to read... Well, she said that she was reading the Bible, and that made me read the Bible.
Yes.
And then when I was doing it, then you phoned and said, would you like... And I went, wow, this is so strong, that I thought, well, it had to... it's meant to be.
Yes.
So, and then James gave me the guidance on some verses, so that was brilliant as well.
Okay. Oh, well, that's a delight.